I'm excited and proud to have Michael Kopinak, who is the Associate Athletic Director at Humber College. And we have a little bit of history over the last couple of years and appreciate our conversations together. And I love having you on in regards to just kind of what's going on with health concerns and athletics. And I was mentioning to you today, we've had athletes come on, we've had strength and conditioning coaches come on, and I think a little bit different perspective now is having more of like the college, the organization, and some of the sort of thoughts and ideas, but also some of the supports that are given to athletes and teams as they get ready, whenever that time is, to come back to sports. So Michael, we're happy to have you, and I know the people who follow HeadSet, but also through Humber College Hawks are also are with us today. So thank you for joining us. And I just want to start off with a pretty broad question, but more so in regards to how have the recent health concerns with COVID-19 influenced you all in regards to Humber College and Humber College athletics?
Well, I mean, it's been an unbelievable time. I mean, keep hearing the word unprecedented time, right? I mean, I'm 47 years old. I've never lived through anything like this. You know, of course, we had SARS a number of years ago, but that was nothing like COVID-19 and what it's done to really just to daily life. And in varsity sports, athletics is no different. You know, we were turned upside down very quickly. And you know what, we're constantly dealing with unknown, which has been very difficult, challenging for everyone. And I can imagine, you know, I don't live the daily life of a student athlete, but I can only imagine how concerned, frustrated, you know, I've used scared as a word because I think people, again, you're dealing with the unknown, concerned. What does the future mean for me? Are we going to be back in September or not? In all of these things, and really, it happened so quickly. I was telling you, and you know this, we were supposed to be hosting the men's national basketball championship, and it was obviously a huge ordeal. We had Toronto Raptors, and, you know, various personalities showing up. Our team was so excited, and you know, they were starting to play well. They did lose in the provincial final, but they were ready and geared. They had a legit shot to win. And, you know, it was one of the hardest meetings. You know, I'm the associate director. Sometimes that's nice because you don't have to always have the tough conversations. I was in the room, but you know, Ray, the athletic director, I know I felt that was one of the toughest conversations I've had with the team. Basically saying, you know, COVID-19 has shut the national championships down, and you know, that you're a fifth-year athlete. That's how you go out. It was sad, and you know, the guys will rebound. There's no question, and those whose career have ended will rebound from it. But that it's going to sting, and so from that, you can think about health and well-being and mental health related issues and all of those things. Yeah. In our previous conversations, I was mentioning we had coaches and athletes, and they've said very similar things, right? It's that things that were ripped right out from them, and they were training very hard to get ready for whatever was coming to the end of their season, but also that unknown and the fear of what's next to come. And for some, they are fifth-year athletes or fourth-year athletes who their careers, it was kind of ready for that ending, right? That ending that they were looking forward to that was taken from them. So those are very similar conversations, and from HeadSet standpoint, we've talked about those, right? And like you said, like some of the toughest conversations have come from listening to coaches, those athletes at various stages with their sports. And I think that's all we can do is listen to what they are feeling and what they are experiencing in real time. Well, I think one thing, certainly like to share is the, we can start here maybe, is the academic side of the house and how difficult that was for everybody. Again, it was sort of, we were in class, COVID was around, people knew about it, but maybe we were sort of saying, yeah, I don't know, maybe not that serious. I don't know. Then days went on, and of course now taken away, and then literally it was like, you're no longer in class. Go home. We'll let you know what's going to happen, and of course the isolation from the government. Go self-isolate, do that sort of thing, and it was just so fast. And of course, none of the athletes, in fact, most of the students didn't know what to expect as did staff. And for that first week, everybody was at home. I mean, we were still working remotely.
Right.
Sure. But students at that point in time were just basically told to go home. And so, and then it was the following week where it was sort of, the announcement was, we're going online. Well, that's all fine and dandy. And I mean, it was the one and only thing really institutions could do. But then you have all kinds of things to think about, like people who have never studied online. I think people assume everybody's got a computer and a mobile phone and all those sorts of things. You know what? Most people do, but not everybody. And so I think Humber Athletics, but I also believe Humber College, we reacted to those things. We made things like computers available for students so that they could actually be effective and hopefully be successful. Mallory Lawton, our varsity academic advisor, and well, I think she's probably still maybe a little bit less now, working upwards 70 hours a week, connecting with all of our varsity athletes, especially those who really didn't have a clue about this whole world of online, whether by Zoom, phone calls, Teams. That's another one we use quite a bit. He was checking in with people daily, regular, either individually or in a group. Sometimes we got lucky, and maybe there were several individuals in the same class or the same program, so she could do Zoom, with 4 individuals and kind of do the same information. Yeah. But as you can imagine, it wasn't a really easy time for her, in particular, trying to connect with 280 athletes, and I bet you at least 100 of those she had to contact daily just to get through. Right. And I believe Mallory joined us. So is she here? Mallory, thanks for, I know your name from different emails, so I'm glad you joined us. And just hearing this, it's about trying to, and this is going to be our conversation, is about supporting athletes, right? We're going through these tough times early on, that it's ripped apart. We got to kind of build it back up. And that's kind of where we're going to go today, is like, how do we build it back up for that time when athletes are ready to come back, that they come back and they're able to kind of get back to getting to their potential, right? It's going to be slow and we still don't have a lot of information, but I think the support pieces are absolutely essential for those that are athletes, but also for people like yourself and Mallory, that support staff. It's almost like we're all in it together. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. I think the one thing that we said right from the beginning is that, with this whole online business, we need to be creative, keep folks engaged. We want it to be sort of as fun and lighthearted as possible, but obviously ensuring their success, helping in any way that's good to get them through. And I'm so happy to say, and really, Mallory is get all of the credit here. She got virtually everybody through, and that includes some individuals that, we were concerned whether or not they're going to graduate. Right. Well, I can use the term at risk. They did it. They did it themselves. They took ownership. It was Mallory's support that really helped spur that on. Then from there, because of the excitement of all of these folks graduating, and she may even be traveling. She's been doing tours where she's taken the gown and cap and doing taking social distancing in mind. She's been taking the cap and gown and showing up at people's houses, giving them a sign that says, congratulations, 2020 grad. And you should see the smile. And it's really taken off. I mean, she started doing, just a couple. And then I think from there, it kind of took off. And she now shows up, and families, again, taking social distancing in mind, they're having mini parties. They're having champagne, really just sort of welcoming her with open arms. At the end of the day, taking these lovely pictures all over Instagram. You should just see the smiles. It is probably one of the most exciting things that I've been a part of as an associate athletic director involved in athletics. I'm so proud of those individuals who've graduated, and hey, this was probably the most difficult time to do it through, and they did it, and they should be so proud of themselves. Mallory, just outstanding. I'm glad she's on here. I want to thank her. Great work.
Yeah, and just as you kind of mentioned, right? So it's unprecedented times. We've never been through this before, and then you have to be just acknowledging that people are feeling a certain way. We want to be able to move forward based on its tough times, and then we have to be creative with being able to bring all these people together to make it the best experience possible, right? And it sounds like through yourself and Ray and Mallory and all the staff that it's trying to make the best out of a very difficult situation. And
maybe this is cliche, but we really are all in it together. And at the end of the day, we're gonna beat this thing, and we have been beating it. I'll tell you, I everybody is learning so much about about doing things differently, and maybe looking at things differently. I think it really shows. And the world, I keep hearing the world is going to be a different place. Maybe not. But what I can say is I think we've all learned that through tough times, we can make things better. I want to share a quote because I think this is important. Something that we try to, in my mind, try to instill in all of our athletes, because as much as Mallory and others, all of our staff, support all of our varsity athletes, all of our student success and engagement, by the way, support all students, not just varsity athletes. But at the end of the day, it's about life skills, right? And that's something, hey, you can be an exceptional athlete. I hope that you're learning some life skills and developing throughout your 2, 3, 4, 5 years here. But I saw this quote and I really liked it. And I actually don't know who said it, but when you can't control what's happening, challenge yourself to control how you're responding to what is happening. Yeah. And I just think that is so perfect, right? We control this thing. I mean, certainly we can help people by staying in and following public health direction and doing those things, no question. But none of us help COVID. This just happened. We couldn't do this, but you can, right? You can challenge yourself to figure this thing out.
For sure. Yeah, and I love it. I love it. And in some of our previous Instagram lives, we're doing webinars, and theme throughout is trying to control what you can, right? And you can't control this. However, that sort of mindset that you're talking about and trying to be able to be, right, somewhat adaptable. I mean, again, it's very hard, but I think you have to be able to acknowledge, as I mentioned, control what you can, and then you got to move forward. It's the moving forward part that there has to be that time where you do, right? And that's where kind of this story that you're telling and we're going through together here is, here's what happened at this point in time. It was so difficult, right? As you said, like, it's such a tough conversation to have, but then you start to figure out, okay, we're in this, but like, how do we move forward together? And it almost feels like now it's like, okay, we're moving together. We still don't have the answers with this, but as time goes on, we have to be able to adapt and figure it out.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's been something, without saying those exact words, those are the actions it feels like you all are taking.
I'm hoping that one of the actions, and if I use Mallory and what she's done with this tour as an example, I think closure. And whenever you have a team, whether you win a national championship, there needs to, there's closure. There needs to be closure, right? No matter what the situation. And I think these grad tours and that's helping with some of the closure. Brian Lepp did an exceptional job. We did basically had a virtual banquet, ongoing, because usually you have an athletic banquet at the end of the year. You give out an award, that sort of thing. Clearly, that didn't happen. Probably the first time in, the 40 years or whatever we've been around, 40 plus years, didn't happen. So he did an ongoing, basically virtual banquet. And it was outstanding. It included, highlight videos and all kinds of things. So we all chimed in with our comments. It was just so much fun and a touch. And we actually ended it, which I loved, with our valedictorian. We always have
nice
male and female valedictorian, and we still had that this year. We had Megan Murphy from softball, and Andrew Blakey, who was a dual sport athlete, both baseball in his early years and men's volleyball and after that. And they did an outstanding job. And I think that those little things, I think, help with closure. And so I'm glad we did those, but I think we need to continue to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And as you were saying that earlier today, I was on a conference call with different athletic directors and people in sport leadership. And one person, I don't know what her exact title is, but she's associated with Harvard in the U.S. And they had a virtual banquet, and they loved it so much, just like you, like clips. It was like an ESPN thing. Awesome. She said, and she goes, "Yeah, they loved it so much. We're gonna, wherever we go next year, we're adding pieces with it. Like we will have some virtual piece because they loved it so much."
Isn't that nice?
Making the best out of a very tough situation. Yeah. It really is. Hey, and I didn't mention this earlier, but for people who are with us today, if you have any questions, fire them out there, and we'll get to them, and we'll have a little chance at the end as well for people to ask questions. But let's make it interactive. If you have them, if you don't, we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on chatting.
Well, you know what? I don't know, because I don't know how easy it is for somebody to chime in, but I saw Coach Sharma, who's been doing his own Instagram Live. The guy's an outstanding interviewer, but he's also an outstanding coach. And, I know it's been tough for him and his teams, but my understanding is that a number of our coaches, I think he's been doing this, but a number of our coaches have been keeping in touch with their athletes, doing Zoom meetings. And I think that really helps with their health and wellness, because they get to see each other, they get to connect, keeping that team building going. I think some of them are doing, they're doing fun games together, icebreakers, that sort of thing. And I think that's very important. Should just shout out to AJ Sharmish too. I don't know if you know this or not. Maybe I shared this with you at one of our previous meetings. Prior to AJ as the coach a few years back, there had been zero national championships for Ontario women in what I would call the big sports, soccer, volleyball, basketball. Since then, that's going back a few years, not very long. AJ's won 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's only been 2. It's
awesome.
Pretty,
yeah. Shout out to Coach Sharma. Yeah, and he's on. If he's still here, feel free to chime in and with questions or comments. But there is a question, and it comes from Jason Galea. I've mentioned Jay to you before. He's the co-founder of HeadSet. So I've mentioned in our conversations when we've been together at Humber. But Jay's asking, what is the biggest challenge being faced by you in your position today? What would be the biggest challenge for you? And also bring in Ray's the athletic director. We're together.
Related to COVID, or just kind of generally? Actually, you know what? I think it's probably one and the same. And you're gonna get lots of people talk about budgets and things like that, because all of those are real. They're real issues, right? Finances are real issues, right? But for me, it's health and wellness, and literally mental health. Mental health is, as we know, is it on the rise, or do people just understand it better than they did 10 years ago? I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is, varsity athletes are no different. They all come from different walks of life. We all have our stories, and we all have baggage. And there's just a lot of stuff there that our athletes are dealing with. And so mental health is an issue that I wish, I hope that we learn to tackle better with all of our student athletes. I think we are getting we have lots of support systems in place, but one thing we have been talking about that we don't have is a counselor, a true counselor. I mean, we have athletic therapy; it's different, but is a true counselor. I don't know that that's going to happen in the short term, but we have been talking about maybe a sort of a part-time position at the very least. That for me is an area that we improve on.
Yeah, yeah. And
by the way, you might get 5 different answers. You can talk to 5 different athletic directors, get 5 different answers. But for me, it's the area of mental health is an area we need to.
And I think now you would find that more people as athletic directors or coaches and the athletes as well would say that the mental health part or the mental well-being, right? So needing some support as a student athlete, and it's from the very beginning, that transition from high school to university or college, but that's that entire time, right? And you mentioned about the 4th, 5th year athletes who are done, right? It's those transitions. And
yeah. And actually, that's a great point. And I don't, transitioning out is also very difficult and brings its own challenges. And is probably another area that we could continue to improve on. We believe and we hope that we are developing life skills, the sort of student development theory, if you want to call it, from your first year through to staying 5 years, whatever the number is. That you transition out and you've learned some pretty good life skills being part of this whole world of varsity and this whole college life, university life. But I still think there is probably room for improvement in terms of transitioning folks out. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another question for you is, what has it been like trying to bring in new recruits for the season ahead?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, right? Because again, we're dealing with the unknown. We have a lot of recruits who are very interested in coming to Humber. Maybe they're coming from long distances. Maybe they're coming from abroad as international students. Well, there are lots of issues right now. What is the season going to look like? Is it going to be exactly as it normally is? Probably not. Is it going to be modified? Is the fall going to be changed? One thing I want to assure everybody is, as soon as we know the information, and we're still doing stuff on a daily basis and trying to sort through it all, as soon as we know, our intention is to be upfront on and let our recruits go right away, because I'm very concerned. I don't know if Coach Norman's still on here, but I know he's got a recruit, I believe it's from BC, interested in coming. That's awesome. I understand that's quite a player, but I'm concerned he's severely modified. And what, at this point, we don't know for sure if there will be national championships because we don't know what travel is going to look like.
Right.
So certainly recruits are there, but our goal is to be open and honest with them so they know what they're coming into. I would not be shocked if a number of, never mind varsity athletes, a number of students this year choose to do an extra year in high school, choose to take a year off. Right? When the economy is doing poorly, and it is now, it's usually a time when everybody goes to school. The difference with this, though, is everybody realizes that they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. They don't know, are they going to be in class? Are they going to be online? And for some people, there's kind of the rite of passage of your first year experience. And what does that look like? And, and what does residence look like? My understanding is residents might not fill to capacity to keep social distancing in place. Well, if you're a resident student, again, there's a huge proponent of residence. That is a different feeling and in a different environment. I think the best that we can be as athletic administrators or folks who work in the college is being open and honest and upfront as possible. And I'll tell you, the decisions are coming.
Yeah.
I think we're about a month away from really knowing where we're at. Sorry.
Yeah, no. And you're saying, like, and as I'm hearing you and just knowing you as well over the last few years, is there, it's a student athlete, right? So that student part, you mentioned it. You mentioned to me before off Instagram how many times that they're a student athlete. We hope that the athletic part, right, is very influential in regards to their life and also as they pursue these great things on the field. But they're a student athlete, and those two things are combined. And that, in your role, and others at Humber College have mentioned those two together quite a bit, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. We talked earlier today about success and what's your definition of success. Well, I would argue that definition is different for everybody. But at the end of the day, what we want is we want student athletes to come do well in their class, graduate from their program of choice, learn some life skills outside of the classroom, and ultimately, hopefully, win a national championship. Because, hey, we recruit to win. I mean, it's not, we want that experience.
And so does the recruit, I'm sure, too, right? To be able to go to a program or school that has both of those, right? I can do this in the classroom, but I'm going to pursue success out of the classroom, too. Hey, we had a little conversation earlier today, and I was really interested in you a little bit about it, but that in supporting athletes last year, but also in getting to the place next year, the high performance group that you all put together. Can you talk about the high performance team?
Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll talk about high performance and therapy, our therapy department, almost together, because there really is a strong relationship there. Both areas, by the way, are run by Melanie Evans. Is a certified athletic therapist, massage. She does a number of things, but she's also the manager of both of those areas. And I think has done an exceptional job of ensuring that there is this symbiotic relationship, because as you can imagine, therapy and injury athletes and high performance kind of go together. So there has to be good communication there to make sure that you're setting up your individual athletes who may be injured appropriately, right? So I guess I'll start with our therapy department. Some interesting things that we're doing during COVID. They have basically they're doing virtual athletic therapy. And what that means is you can book an appointment. They'll do an assessment like we are now. I guess they'll do an assessment. They'll do some exercise and mobility coaching with them, the recovery strategy with them. So they're trying to go, not the same, being honest, not the same. Right. They're trying to do what they can. Our doctor is still available. So there's a number of things that we are doing from a sports perspective to ensure that our injured athletes are still getting some support. If you go on to social media, you'll see all kinds of things from our therapy department. For example, every Friday, it's called Foam Roll Friday. So they're really working on different parts, different mobilities aspects. I saw one, they're free to kind of do these things. I don't say go, they go and do it themselves. Ankle injury management as one, right? Which I just thought was fantastic. How many of us have had ankle injuries?
Right,
really,
right.
The mobilization of your ankle, just some amazing stuff. And then, when I look at our high performance center, and this, again, just first started, we didn't know how long it was going to be. We probably were only expecting, well, I wasn't expecting this. I don't know about anybody else. I certainly wasn't expecting months. I was expecting a couple of weeks and we'd be back. Well, right away, they did a 14-day sort of generic training program. That 14 days then became 28 days. And doing things like isometric training, conditioning, core, recovery days. But I took part in it myself. I'll tell you, I've never actually felt stronger. I'm not a varsity athlete,
nice.
But I never felt stronger. No, absolutely fantastic. And then what they were doing is it was tough too, because there were exams and things. So you have to take that into consideration, and we have to be reasonable. There's student athletes, but there's an accountability piece. You needed to sign in. Let us know you were there. Then they had a leaderboard, right? Because we're a little bit competitive.
Yeah.
Leaderboard. How many days in a row did you go? Did you actually get to? Did you follow it from A to Z? And then
were they all the teams? Was it just out to all the athletes?
So what that was is kind of a generic 1 month program. Just keep people strong, especially with respect to their core. Try to limit injuries, because our biggest concern here is, of course, let's soccer as an example. There's no soccer being played right now. So if we come back, I don't know if there's going to be any soccer this summer. It's not looking great. If we come back in September, it's quite likely that our high performance soccer players haven't played a soccer game in months.
Right.
So we need to ensure that we're keeping them as strong and as fit as possible, so that we limit the injuries when they come back. Of course, they're going to make sure, regardless, that there is going to be built into the season. If there is a season, what they're going to build in is a period of time where these athletes can train training camps, that sort of thing, just to ensure they're not getting injured. But obviously, everything that our high performance center is doing is going to help that stuff. Last night we met with all of the coaches, the head coaches, some assistant coaches as well, and our high performance team then put out to the coaches, it's now time to start sport specific. So we've been doing generic now for a month. Let's get into sport specific, because you know what? It's going to be June before we know it, we're going to be back. So the sport specific training is happening. It's going to be starting now. The other thing our high performance center is doing, I should say this too. You know what? They had this sort of 28 days, all kinds of different exercises. But the other thing that they've done is they put an incredible bank of the exercises on YouTube, on Instagram, all these social media platforms, so that you can go make sure you're doing the activity correctly, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. It's also great for me who may not know how to do every single one. The other thing our high performance center is doing is they've been, and I think this is very important, is they've been doing, it's called HPC Eats, so High Performance Center Eats. And Teresa Arnini, who's the coordinator of the program, you know Teresa.
I know. For sure.
Yeah, you know Teresa. She's done well, it's been amazing, because even I go on and take a look. What she's doing is very simple, nutritious meals, basically telling them how to prepare it. Most of the meals are between 15 minutes and 30 minutes in length, not overly expensive, so in a student-friendly budget, but they're getting, hopefully, the nutrients, whether it's carbs, the meats, the things that they need to be successful, the proteins that they need to be successful in building their
yeah.
So those are the things we're trying to do.
And that's fantastic. And as you're talking, sport is going to come. Whenever it comes,
it's going to come.
It's going to come. And what we've been talking about week by week and webinars and Jay, who's on here, is doing podcasts, is being able to do the work to get you ready for when you return. And it's going to be very hard for those who haven't done anything to just turn on the switch. And those who are going to be challenged. Physically, they will be challenged. But we're also talking mentally. If you're not doing some mental skills training along the way, recording these, being a part of things, sharpening those mental skills as well, those physical and technical skills, it's going to be much more challenging, right, for when that person comes back. So it's a great opportunity, and it's not too late. So if there are athletes or coaches who are with us, like you guys have this, like there has to be a starting point for when that athlete or that team comes back to be able to take on these important elements of sport.
I mean, earlier today when we were talking, we talked a lot about accountability, and this is the piece. And we used to have the slogan, I think we still do, but we probably haven't used it as much in the past, but building champions. Really, it's about building champions off the field or your playing surface and on the court. And a lot of you still hear me? I just froze there for a second.
Yeah, you could use
that. Is still help. Yeah, building champions on and off your playing surface. And those are the things. If we're doing the little things now, especially when we maybe have a little bit more time, exams and things like that are done, you do those, and ultimately that's going to help lead to your individual, your team's success. And so I encourage everybody to take part in all of these things that are there to help support the student athlete.
Yeah, which is, and maybe we kind of bring it in because this is a question that I love asking you and others in high performance is what are the characteristics or traits that you and others look for when either bringing in someone to recruit, but also those people who are in? Like, what are those characteristics and traits that kind of feed into that success inside and then outside of the classroom?
Well, and I think a lot of the success actually works both ways in the classroom and out of the classroom. It's about having, I like athletes who have some goals, right? They've kind of thought about what it is that they want to do. It doesn't mean that they're not necessarily going to come and change programs. I mean, that happens. But I'm hoping that they've got some short and longer term goals. Hey, in the short term, I want to make sure I get X in the classroom in my first year. But ultimately, by my third year, I want to graduate by, with X. Same thing with sport. Hopefully, they're coming with some goals in. So I think that piece is really important. I think we look for athletes who are accountable to themselves, accountable to their team, and we understand that students are athletes. They're young people who make mistakes, but what we want student athletes to learn from those mistakes. That's very important, right? We'll help guide you. We'll help support you. We may even have to, from time to time, maybe we have to discipline you. That doesn't happen very often, but when we do, learn from it. There's an expectation that you're going to learn and grow from all of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Accountability, sorry to interrupt, accountability, as you mentioned, but everyone says it in regards to the people in sport. Like because I've asked that question for every one of these Thursday IG lives, because I'm just curious, right? What do people say? Everyone says accountability. And as I hear you say it and all the others, it must be something there. Like, and for those who, again, that learning part, there's going to be ups and downs. But if you know accountability is so important to so many people in sport, there's got to be some truth behind that accountability piece that you're mentioning.
You know what? I find the word leadership is overused, but we are looking for leaders. But the reality is the athletes that we are recruiting, the athletes that play for us, they have the best players on their team, probably 7 or 8 years old. They have been the leaders on their high school team. But what they need to understand when they come and play for us is they're going to be given a role, whether it's a role for that particular game, a role for the season, a role during the championship. And if you're going to be a part of the team, you're going to be accountable to that. You need to understand what your role is, and you need to accept it. That's not always easy. That is not always easy. That's probably a significant learning curve that some of our coaches are going through with some of their teams, some of their athletes. But that, again, if you're learning from it, that's what's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well said. And I like that almost kind of highlight that learning piece too, right? So we're doing these accountability role pieces because it's helpful to learn in regards to those skills, but it fits the smaller it's the team, but also the college itself, like representing Humber College, that's important across sports. It feels like.
For sure. That Hawk, it's tradition. It means a lot. We have high expectations. We do everything we can to support our student athletes, but they also, need to follow what that Hawk is all about.
Right.
And it's funny as a side note, when teams go out, they have fun. We expect them, and we're okay with that. But there are times when we say, just be careful of wearing that Hawk, everywhere if you're going to go out and have a little bit too much fun, right?
Right.
Because again, there is this, right?
Yeah, there is, and there's something that you associate with when you're part of it, and you have a connection to it. You respect that connection and appreciate it.
I mean, we've had, for the most part, our student athletes outstanding individuals, all of them, outstanding individuals. And yeah, from time to time, there is a discipline issue. 99% of the time, they resolve themselves, never hear a word, and that's exceptional. That's what development is all about. But the other thing I think that's important to share is we're not afraid to make a tough decision, which can ultimately be a tough life decision. Hopefully, again, folks learn from. You know, we have suspended teams. We've suspended very successful teams. When we talk about very difficult conversations, there's one themselves, right? When you're saying to a team, sorry, but you know, but again, I would say that those life lessons can be difficult, but they're so important.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing you mentioned to me before too that I really like, and I think we had to kind of get out and put out there is being a good teammate or being a good a part of this bigger kind of picture. But you mentioned leadership. It's almost that leadership followership piece. Like you got to be a good leader, but you got to be a good follower too.
I always say leadership and followership is a reciprocal process. And there are going to be times when you're going to be the leader, and there are times when you're going to take that role as the follower. I think sometimes it is difficult for young people to accept, especially when they have been the best players or leaders on the team for so many years, right? And so sometimes, and that happens in pro sports too, right? you know,
you're right. Oh, you hear all the time for a guy that's been, or a girl that's been successful in her sport for a long period of time, she or he has really figured out that role to play it well, right? And that helps with longevity. You're a good teammate. Like, I haven't heard a coach or another teammate say, no, I don't like a coachable or a good teammate, coachable athlete or a good teammate.
You know, this is easy for me to say when I'm not necessarily a coach, especially anymore. But I think, you know, there are times when the best athlete isn't always the right fit for a team, right? And I think that is important for young people to know too. Just because I'm the best player doesn't mean I'm going to be the best fit. And a lot of times that has to do with personality traits that need to be worked on and need to be developed. And it doesn't mean you won't get there. But, you know, if that's happening to you as an individual, you're being bypassed, you know your skills are probably at the top part. Maybe need to take a look inside, look at wellness coaches, look at life skill coaches, and let's sit down and have a discussion as to why this is happening.
Yeah, and that's right, especially for the younger athletes that they're on with us, is those are some of the skills. They're not all of them, and it's different for different sports and different colleges and universities and organizations. But when you hear them over and over again, and you hear people who lead these groups say accountability or commitment.
Commitment's a good one.
Yeah, like you hear them all the time. So, you mean, it's whoever's listening, you got to go, okay, I'm hearing it now. Maybe I can work, because they are skills, right? You can be a better teammate, and there's different layers. You can work on accountability. You can, right? And some people are more accountable by nature, but you can work on these.
You know, and I love the term that you said, coachability, because I think that is so important. And, you know, I think about CJ Nofuente, one of the best athletes Humber's ever had, best female, certainly one of the best female athletes, if not the best female athlete ever. I got to be careful about saying that, because Chloe Rowe is on here, where she was. Chloe Rowe has not won 1, 2, 3, 4 national championships in badminton. So
wow.
That's 4. She's won 4 national doubles championships with 4 different partners. So I have to be careful, because she's definitely one.
I don't know Chloe, but I'm thinking accountability, she must have it in spades. Commitment, has it in spades. Good teammate, you brought the doubles part up. I think you have to be, right? Like, all those characteristics, right, Chloe? If you're hearing them, and right, it'd be great to at another time get her thoughts on it. But she has them.
Well, a little plug for her, because tomorrow at 7:45 a.m. Fan 590, Fan 590, interviewing her tomorrow at 7:45. So a little plug.
Okay, nice. Awesome. Chloe, we're going to
get up early, Chloe.
Hey, we're getting close to the end of our time. I'm going to throw it back out to the group if they have any questions or comments or things they're thinking about in regards to our conversation. Again, it's really kind of moving this forward, right? We're all in this together, and you have your group that you're moving forward for whenever sport comes back. So we'll wait a minute.
I see something here. You need specific pieces to make your team work. There's no question. I mean, yes. I don't know if was there more to it or just that. Just what I
and it says you need specific teamwork to make the team work, which is great. Like, for sure.
And I would also be the first to say you need some talent. It is if you're looking at a winning team, regardless, you can have we can talk flower stuff all you want.
Yeah,
you need
right.
Talent to be successful.
It's balanced too, right? And I'm pretty sure you've had teams where the talent was so good, but they underachieved.
Yes.
Right? It goes both, like, and I agree with you, to have just, and I get it all the time for people, cohesive teams. Like, y'all get along, but you don't win very much. Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's always the toughest, right? When you know you've got that talent and then it maybe doesn't come through. But you usually need a couple of people of a very high caliber. That helps win those matches.
For sure. Hey, but I'm just going to put a couple things out there in regards to Humber College, the Humber College Hawks, but also the Ontario Collegiate Athletic Association, right? So Humber, if people, I know there's a lot of the Humber Hawks are out here, they're listening with us, but for people who are outside, take a look. So many great teams. Look at the coaches. Look at previous success, right? So I think going on to the Humber Hawks athletic website would be awesome, but also the OCAA website that looks at Ontario Collegiate Athletic.
Yeah, it's all the colleges. And if I can just take a minute and say, you know what, of course, if you're a high level athlete in your sport, we want you at Humber. There's no question about that. But I will say, you know what, the toughest decisions you're going to make in your life, what institution to go to, whether it's Humber, whether it's a college down the road or university or wherever you're headed, the NCAA, wherever you're going. First off, best of luck, but also make the decision that is best for you. You have to make the decision that's best for yourself. Ultimately, we think we have a good program, both academically and athletically. But that doesn't mean it's the right fit, right? And that's okay. That's okay. Do what is best for you.
For sure. You just want, as you're saying, you want that talent finding their way and having support, be it at Humber or another institution. It's to be able to leverage your potential, right? You want, right? And I get all kind of sappy when I listen to podcasts and online and different episodes of athletic shows where that person finds their potential, right? They're on that path. It's never easy. It's never like a linear path. But when they find that path, they always have someone or a group to support them. So it's finding the right one, be it Humber, be it somewhere else. But, I think that's important. I agree with you 100%.
Well, I think there's a question there.
How is it going working with the other colleges to pull together a season ahead? Is there a scenario helping schools work more closely together? I guess it's for all the are the schools coming together in the OCAA to work out what's going to happen in the future?
Yeah, 100%. It's a very collegial environment, and it has to be, right? I mean, ultimately, we are there for the success of the student athletes, and so we just came from our virtual annual general meeting over the course of the last 2 weeks. We spent a lot of time discussing what is the best way to pull next year off. And of course, we've got there are a number of options that have been laid out.
Oh, got a little technical difficulty here. As the circle's spinning, let's see if we can get Michael back here. If not, everyone who's still around, if you have questions, you let me know. Get back on, then we'll call it a day. Okay, so I guess we're going to call it a day. Everyone, thank you so much for joining today. Michael, we'll be in touch again, even though you're not on. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck. But we'll be seeing each other and talking to each other soon. Everyone, thank you for joining. And next week, Thursday, 4 p.m., All right. We'll talk to you then. See ya.